Welcome to the latest edition of the Stephen A. Smith Show, coming at you, as I love to do, every weekday over the national airwaves of ESPN Radio and ESPN News, 250-plus markets across the United States of America. Check your AM, FM listing nearest you, plus ESPN Radio on Sirius XM, Channel 80, plus ESPN Radio simulcast over the live national television airwaves of ESPN News. Number to call up, as always, is 888-SAY-ESPN. That's 888-729-3776. It's time for Straight Talk, brought to you by Straight Talk Wireless. Lots of stuff to get into today. But let me start off on a negative note because my Yankees lost again. They lost the first two games of this series to the Oakland A's. It's not about worrying about what they're going to do in the regular season. It's not about worrying about whether or not they're going to win American League East. Expect from this team. Bad enough Sabathia has been in and out in terms of his health. This season. The reality of the situation is that when you look at the New York Yankees, this dude, J.A. Happ, I'm just not sold. Four innings, 5 earned runs, a 10-8 record. The dude's got an ERA over 4 career-wise. It's a bust. It balloons to 5.5 come the postseason. Only started 3 times, 1 and 2. Other than that, he's usually not in that rotation. But the bottom line is that he ain't the most impressive dude in the postseason. I'm not sold on J.A. Happ. I've never been sold on J.A. Happ. Never. And see, this is the kind of thing that just drives me crazy. Because when I look at the Houston Astros, I mean, my God. You got Jericho, you got Verlander. You sit up there and you look at them and you look at their staff and you say, my goodness, how's anybody going to beat them? Looking at the paper here today, Thursday's edition of the New York Post. Home run, his 13th of the year, and we're supposed to be all excited. Ladies and gentlemen, in 21 games since he's been back, he's hit 148, 12 for 81, with a homer, 4 RBIs. It is a mistake for people to walk around here believing that the New York Yankees are going to make some noise. The Bronx Bombers are going to make some noise. That doesn't happen against great pitching. It does not happen against great pitching. Not in the postseason. No, stop laughing at me. I'm not exaggerating. This is serious, serious stuff. I'm tired of this. I'm tired of it's been 2009. The Yankees ain't won a damn World Series. This is the Yankees. This ain't the Phillies. Ain't the Tampa Bay Rays. Hell, it ain't even the Dodgers. Can't win a World Series since 1988. Ain't even the Dodgers. This is the New York Yankees. 27 World Series. We're accustomed to greatness. The Boston Red Sox have won more. The Chicago Cubs have won as many World Series titles as the New York Yankees this millennium, and they were cursed. How the hell you overcome a curse and win just as much, if not more, championships than the most storied franchise in sports annals? I'm Brian Cashman. Mr. We're going to stand pat. No need to panic. We're absolutely fine. We don't need anybody in our rotation. How does that happen? J.A. Happ. I mean, please. Please. I mean, he's not a scrub. He's not horrendous. But does he tickle your fancy? He doesn't tickle mine. Where is Michael K. when I need him? Please hurry up back to the radio airways, even though my man Don Juan LaGreca can handle this because he's a hell of a radio host. But I don't trust Don. Mr. Met. I can't listen to him. Assuage my concerns when it comes to the New York Yankees. He doesn't care about us. He doesn't care about Yankee fans. I can't do that. I'm trying to keep my cool. Trying to give the Yankees a chance. Trying to find any old which way I can come up with to justify what the hell is going on. And I got to tell you something right now. I'm getting very, very worried. Because I'm looking at them and I'm saying, hey, this ain't going to cut it. I'm not going to lie to you. I'm not interested in seeing the Yankees go to the postseason and lose again. Although I will acknowledge a couple of years ago when they lost to the Astros in 7 games, that was a spectacular baseball series to watch. It took 7 to take the Yankees out, but that was something special. I have to admit that. I truly, truly do. I really, really do. So I won't front in that regard. But I'm just looking at Verlander and Jarrett Cole with ERAs under 3. And I'm like, damn it. Yankees don't have a chance against these brothers. Then they got Greinke, too. 888-SAY-ESPN. That's 888-729-3776. You're listening live to the Stephen A. Smith Show, ESPN Radio, ESPN News. Yankees, after they finished this series against the A's, hopefully with a win, they got to go to L.A., Chavez Ravine, and go up against 2-time reigning National League champion Los Angeles Dodgers. It's always good to see the Yankees and the Dodgers going up against each other. I'll be very interested in watching the outcome of that. But I need to see some pitching from the New York Yankees. I need pitching. I need to see pitching. I don't need to see you giving up 6 runs like it's going out of style. 888-SAY-ESPN. It's 888-729-3776. You're listening live. Stephen A. Smith Show, ESPN Radio, ESPN News. Let me transition to some basketball talk for a second. Because you may not have ever heard about this next gentleman I'm about to discuss. After all, he played at Iowa State, if I remember correctly. He was drafted in the first round many years ago. I think it's like 2013, 2014, if I remember correctly. His name is Royce White. He's only played 3 games in the NBA. But apparently he's still trying to ball, and he knows a lot of basketball players. And he was caught on camera for some reason. Somebody put a camera in front of his face. And he had some things to say to the defense of a Carmelo Anthony who has not been in this league since being let go by the Houston Rockets just 10 games into the 2018-2019 season. So Carmelo Anthony was let go. He hasn't been picked up by a team since. He's been working out, working hard. Apparently, he has a strong desire. Not apparently, literally. I interviewed the man. He has a strong desire to end up back in the NBA. He's looking for his chance to go out the way that he wants to go out. He's willing to come off the bench, willing to play 15, 20 minutes a game. All of these things are true. But nobody seems to have picked him up. Apparently, folks out there are chirping. We don't know who it is, but we know that you got folks hesitant to take on Carmelo Anthony. I think Portland could use him. I think Philly could use him. I definitely think the LA Lakers could use him. But so far, there have been no takers. And as a result, it's raked a few people's nerves. Damian Lillard, months ago, spoke out on Melo's behalf, along with a plethora of other folks. That going on. And now you got this guy, Royce White, saying it. Although I will acknowledge, I don't think anybody has spoken on behalf of Melo quite like this man just did. Listen to what Royce White had to say on behalf of Carmelo Anthony.
Melo is absolutely being blackballed. He's one of the realest in it. He's one of those dudes that, you know, he ain't like me. He don't talk like brash and straightforward like that, but he has those morals and principles, you know. And he's given too much to the game for them not to allow him to play, or for them to, you know, kind of culturally just make a decision or an agreement that he's not good enough anymore. All of us here that play the game at the highest level know how good Melo is, and we know that there's no way that the Lakers would go out and sign Jared Dudley and not sign Carmelo Anthony. And another question is, while a guy like LeBron is walking around here like he's the face and voice of the players, how is he letting his banana boat brother hang out there in the wings and they go sign Jared Dudley and not Carmelo? If anybody watching this thinks that Jared Dudley can hold Carmelo's jockstrap, I'll slap him.
Damn. Talk about putting it where the goats can get it. As my man, the great one, the Black Eagle, Joe Madison, the Hall of Fame radio host, Joe Madison, said it. You're putting it where the goats can get it. That's what you're doing. By the way, Joe Madison, listen to him every weekday morning, 6 a.m. to 10 a.m. on Urban View Radio, Sirius XM. I believe that's channel 126. Karen Hunter's on in the afternoon from 3 to 6, by the way. That's my sister right there. But that's neither here nor there. Here's the deal. I love what he had to say. Damn, I appreciate his candor. Makes valid points. I'm not going to go with the word blackballed, though. I'm not going to go that far, because it's not like he's considered a pariah by NBA teams. I know plenty of executives who speak very, very fondly of Carmelo Anthony as a person. They genuinely like him. He's trustworthy. He's somebody that keeps locker room stuff inside the locker room. He doesn't talk bad or down to or about anybody. He does work hard. He shows up at practice. He does what he's supposed to do. He tries to be a professional. All of these things are true. Here's what I'm going to tell you is what I personally believe. And I hope Royce White is listening somewhere. This is what I personally believe about Carmelo Anthony. Yes, he holds the ball. Yes, it's not an ISO game the way that it used to be, unless you're playing for Houston and James Harden, because he's the one that has that green light. You've got these analytics dudes looking at numbers and paying attention to some very, very relevant stats and some not so very relevant stats as well. He's outdated. His time is up. It's time to move in a different direction. And they build and structure teams a little bit differently. If you're Sam Presti, I have no doubt that you're not insulting or excoriating Carmelo Anthony in any way. But if you're talking about building a basketball team, I don't think he has a glowing report of Melo, because if that's the case, one could argue Melo would have remained in Oklahoma City. Don't tell me Mike D'Antoni has glowing. So when you look at it from that perspective, with all of that going on, you got to ask yourself, what the hell's going on? Here's what I believe. I believe there are plenty of people who do not want Melo in their top 9-man rotation. They look at his suspect defense, his proclivity towards playing ISO ball as opposed to moving and distributing the basketball. And they say, you know what? He doesn't work for us in a 9-man rotation. Royce White is absolutely right. You can't find 450 players better than Carmelo Anthony on this planet. You can't find 450 players that deserve to be on an NBA roster ahead of Carmelo Anthony. We all know that. We all get that. But here's where it gets tricky. Because you're a 10-time All-Star, a 6-time All-NBA player, a career 24-point-per-game scorer, somebody who's destined to go to the Hall of Fame someday because of your exploits collegiately as well as in Olympic competition. Although you've never been to an NBA Finals and you've only been to one conference finals when you were in Denver and Chauncey Billups was your point guard and you were playing for the Nuggets, the reality of the situation is that when you look at Carmelo Anthony, okay, you got executives that are going to look at him and say, you didn't win with him. And oh, by the way, we got this 9-man rotation. We don't believe he belongs in. He clearly belongs in roster spots 9 through. I think Carmelo Anthony is going to accept that. Do you really, really believe that Carmelo Anthony is going to accept playing that relegated role, coming off the bench, restricted to about 15 minutes a game, 20 max? Could he take that? That's what they're going to question. And I had one executive say to me, Stephen A., it's pretty hard for an executive to justify putting your head coach in a position where he has to look down at the bench and you got Carmelo Anthony sitting there, and you continue to bypass one person after another. I'm sorry, you continue to bypass him, one person after another after another. It's pretty hard to do that, Stephen A. How are we going to pull that off, Stephen A? That's what they're going to say. So it's not a matter of whether or not he's one of the top 450 players in the world. We know better than that. We know that he is. But the role that we would want him to play may not be in the 9-man rotation. So he'd be coming off the bench and playing on roster spots 10 through 15. And if he were to do that, could he accept that, Stephen A? We don't think he can. And on top of it all, it puts that coach in a very precarious spot because a potential future Hall of Famer is sitting on the bench and may not be able to handle that. And that puts the coach in a very, very difficult situation. That's their belief. Here's mine. Carmelo Anthony specifically said, no one's asked me to come off the bench. I'm willing to come off the bench. That's what Carmelo Anthony said. I am willing to come off the bench. So if he's willing to come off the bench, why not give him a shot? New York Knicks. Why not give him a shot? Brooklyn Nets. To a lesser degree, Brooklyn. Why not give him a shot? LeBron, Los Angeles Lakers. And by the way, Royce White, you saw how he wasn't hesitant to call out LeBron, his banana boat buddy. Look, I'm not going to say, let me be very clear about what I'm saying. LeBron James don't owe Carmelo this. He doesn't owe Carmelo fighting for Carmelo to be a Laker. But it would be nice if he did. He did open his mouth and speak on behalf of Melo because he felt Melo was being given a bad rap and completely disrespected. He knew how Melo departed from Houston, how Daryl Morey walked into a hotel room in San Antonio while Melo was preparing to play basketball that night and told him, your services are no longer needed. This is what Melo came on First Take and said. And Nuno, for my audience, if you can find that sound with Melo on First Take with me a few weeks back, one-on-one with yours truly, please find that sound for me. I mean, that's the reality of the situation. That's what Daryl Morey, according to Melo, said to Melo. And so if that's the backdrop, if that's the reality, if that's what we're dealing with here, well, then that should resonate with us all. It really, really should. Because if LeBron spoke up then, what's wrong with speaking up now? Clearly, the Los Angeles Lakers' priority is and should be a big man. With DeMarcus Cousins going down, a Kenneth Faried, a Dwight Howard certainly works. I think Dwight Howard because he's bigger, even though I like Kenneth Faried better. The bottom line is that You're the Lakers. You need a big. Outside of needing that big, you trying to tell me the Lakers can't use additional perimeter shooting? And I'm not saying Melo's been the greatest shooter in the world because we know that he hasn't been. But we also know he can find that stroke again. In 2 of the last couple of 4 or 5 games or so, he dropped 22 and 28 points in Houston before they let him go. He could do some things offensively. You're the Philadelphia 76ers. How thin your bench is. You don't need Melo. You the Portland Trailblazers, who, by the way, might. All I'm saying is that when you consider what he's done with the league and for the league, he don't deserve an opportunity out of the league 10 games in. And by the way, it's not an accident that it's 10 games in. For those of you that don't pay attention to analytics at all, let me explain something to you about the analytics boys. I'm told they analyze and compartmentalize games in 10-game increments. So 10 games in tells you a story. 20 games in tells you a story. 30 games, 40 games, 50 games in tells you a story. So it's not an accident that Carmelo Anthony was let. Daryl Morey being an analytics dude, that's what they usually do. So if you're looking at it from that perspective, trying to tell me that Carmelo deserves to go out like that? And oh, by the way, as a last, let's be mindful of something here. Very, very important. Okay? USA Basketball, Jerry Colangelo, who I revere, didn't want Carmelo on the team. Thought that if Carmelo Anthony I know what Carmelo Anthony's trying to do. Make a name for himself, blah, blah, blah. Recapture some of that glory. But he needs to do it through the NBA, not through USA Basketball. Kind of harsh, but fair at the same time. Here's the problem. Carmelo Anthony religiously supported USA Basketball throughout his career. Religiously supported them. That's point number 1. Point number 2, you got an abundance of stars who don't even want to play. Got guys leaving at the last minute like it's going out of style. Number 3. Just turned down, contributions ignored. One could make the argument that loyalty is short-lived in professional sports. It's a supply and demand business. We all know this. And those things are most prominent in this age of analytics. But that wasn't what they were saying to Melo when they needed him. These are all things to consider. Anthony, in my opinion, is better than 50% of the players in the league. Don't tell me that he can't make a contribution. Don't tell me that. Please don't tell me that. 888-SAY-ESPN. It's 888-729-3776. You're listening live to Stephen A., ESPN Radio, ESPN News. That was Straight Talk Wireless. Everything for less, only at Walmart. I'll get back to your calls in just a minute. By the way, when it comes to hiring, you don't have time to waste. You need to